Welcome to Can We Talk Community Forum. Today I will be presenting how we can have healthy neighbors in positive environments to keep up and other things, to know who your neighbors are around you by having certain events and things, and I will get to that. And then versus the unhealthy people and things they do that is not acceptable, and things others don't like or disrespectful to who they living around, and give things in a personal way or put in a perspective way for them to understand how things should be, and they should know if they don't. Try to send a reminder, put flyers on doors in the way that you want to get things out to people, even if they grown or they're at whatever age they know, but tend to do foolishness. You want to get them to get what things you don't want in your neighborhood. Not a person you don't like is not having nothing to do with that. It's based on how you keeping it clean, and people don't like all that. Most right people and good neighbors or right fair neighbors, if it ain't got to be perfect, they all don't accept that type of stuff. The positive vibes most certainly be in the same mindset. They're not going to attack you, they're not going to attack you in things they feel you can't be yourself and do out in what way, but all that, there's certain things in the environment they can definitely communicate about, because they know that ain't proper to do if they got the common normal senses. And so my name is Donna Herring. I'm coming with Can We Talk Community Forum. And I come with each week in this talk because we have many circumstances happening in all kind of ways and different issues to bring up and try to get resolutions to people to understand anything you live in, anything you go in, anything you do out with yourself, to anything in your requirements, you should want to be in the proper way with it, because some things can affect you later about what you was doing you thought wouldn't. If it ain't with where you at, it could be somewhere else in that, so we should be careful with what we feel is okay now, can catch us up later somewhere else. So this is a talk to basically discuss with community people and things, how to work through things people do, and sometimes people will never get it, no matter what they get right, told what's right to do. They'll continue to be negative. That shows me that's the way they're thinking. Down in them, they got stuff they already carrying from something, and then they're using in the present what somebody else ain't they concern is what they need to do in their environment to show what they are. You showing who you are when you do stuff like that. It represents you like that, and it shows that's where you at in that way of doing in your personal life. If you like that out in your environment, that's where, and your life could be chaotic like that. The way I see it, a person will never keep things up if it's in their environment out where they live or in places wherever they might be in things to do, and that you see the room chaotic. That's the way their mind is. Their mind in their house is chaotic, mean messy. Not saying things can't get that way, but shouldn't be that way if you ain't got too much of a bunch of kids or anything. These things don't have to be with the children arrow. They follow what adults do. They listen here, and if that adult ain't being a good example but a poor example, they show themselves to lead them the same way they acting and thinking. And they don't get it, do they? Till they find out. Many may be calling at other environments in schools and places and libraries, telling them what they acting like and doing like. And they tend to want to make them feel it's proper to act dysfunctional. It is not proper to behave that way. You want your child to be intelligent. You want them to know about things before they get up, because if they go through it and you ain't able to stop it, in the community, places that uphold the laws are not going to regard what they feel. They know the mothers, fathers, whatever, married or not married, should be knowing how to lead their children. Only foolish people test you to your limit. Then they find themselves and built themselves something up on them. If they can't erase or take away, it'll be them doing that to themselves. So these details is just giving out what things be in these issues when grown-ups don't look at things they do. They don't correct their children in the way they should, not whoopings, but communication. They don't give them consequences. They thinking they can just do what they want. No, you can't. Sooner or later, these things will come out more on them than they can stop, and they built this thing on their own. But the intelligence will not do things any kind of way. And to bring this, we want our neighborhoods clean. For what reason? To show the children how things should be when they see what things are. But if you're in that right mindset, you will show your children, regardless of what others do, this is what we do, to show others this is how it should be. But when you ain't teaching your youth and children in that form, or grown-ups too, they know right and act like a fool. Then they have to see what happens in a wrong thinking or error behavior, ERROR, error, what that said. They lead their children that way, the way they talk. They lead them when they running off the mouth. They picking up what they act like and talk about people like. They gonna have it that same way. They repeat what they hear and see. All children, little ones to big ones. They think because they can't talk, they can't keep what they see and hear. They'll come up with it sooner or later. The right thing to be, if you're in I would say, if you're in an area where people deciding to make trouble, it don't have to be a trouble. But of course, I can pick the vibes in places with God and know what trouble is with records in it. And the law has records of things of people having trouble in areas definitely by zip codes. So if they think somebody blind about things, you got to do that. I would recommend, if you're in an area and you're not sure about what's in it, you don't go in it right away in that way. But it's best to look into it before you get in it, I would say, to prevent in it. But if you moved in some because the buildings look right, the property ain't the problem. It's who living in properties. Not everybody, some. Few bad apples with good apples. And so each their own will show what they like in their lifestyle, to their behavior style, to whatever other way in it. And it always display what life you got is going to show. Nothing going to be artificial because of what people do out in their lives to look like, because they're driving out and look like going to work, they still can be doing negatives. Despite of all the things look like others in the right manner of doing daily, don't mean that person got to be in that way. The people do things. I done dealt with people that way to know, in things of learning in environments out, to being in other job environments, to neighbor environments. You learn about people you live around. You learn, and then they don't ever think they wrong. It's a bunch of people, any people that feel like no matter what they do, they don't acknowledge they wrong. They feel they right because of who they are. Irrelevant. And the matter I'm bringing here, if you round troubled neighbors, they just particularly seems to be on something, don't know, or continue scribing with you, that's because they are in things ain't right. Secondly, they feeling lacking in something in their life or hating on something. And thirdly, that's they disrespect to show they don't care and feel they own something. We don't own what we don't have in reality. You have to have papers to know you own property. We not common sense to know who do and who don't. In the mind, a person can think a lot of things, but in reality means what? Having a document showing what you are, where you at, what you are in it, or to you, or own. The person don't have that, that's a mental problem. We have to stay in our lane in what we know is and ain't, and accept the things we can't do. And so, my point to make here is that to keep them types out, keep a record if you're going through a matter with someone that way. And then sooner or later, things will come like a puzzle, little here, little there. It'll start coming to a big puzzle if ongoing, keeping a log on those types about whatever, if it's involving with you. I ain't say the whole neighborhood. If it's someone contending, mean ongoing after you doing something don't make no sense, then you keep a record of all that. Keep a record of anything if you can have some way of proving they acting that way and why they doing it, or if they doing something to prove that. The next measurement step would be you would have it taken down to other certain steps. If it's to the owner first, and then the law enforcers. If it's continuing on for a reason, you got it in record. They know who to come back after. If it's their associations, any diversity in their associations or their culture, they could be in it with them, because it's just what it is. That ain't normal. And you got people watching an idiot or a fool think something ain't in reality and got them waiting and watching and running. They have to have a problem. Humans know that people don't have power like God. We know that the things out there with so much authority in the reality of natural authority to those in degrees, to in areas they work in, church in, and other places. And then you got the law to hold you up with things you show to reinforce something in a lawbreaker or a law troublemaker. Those are things you do. Then you'll keep on if it's in it with you, but if it ain't, you put up cameras, a security system. I wouldn't recommend door ringers, but a security system live, a person monitoring, or something they can see and call 911, the regular police, or whatever else is needed when you're around trouble people in a neighborhood that ain't seeming in the normal functioning about normal doings or proper way with anything. And it don't have nothing to do with color or like I said, the color or whatever. It ain't a hate thing. It ain't a hate or race thing. It's a behavior thing when you got that type going on. And it could be things in their life ain't resolved. They using what they learned and ain't getting their way. You can't make people follow what you believe. And it ain't something you should be doing yourself, but going on with your life, dealing with your family, your children, natural, with common sense, getting rest, balance yourself for the mind, healthy for the body, to group what you do and have so much time in what you do. But if a person bypassing that, they ain't balanced. And they focusing in wrong things to get what they think. It ain't doing nothing but stressing them, breaking them down, overwhelming them, and depressing them. Now, this is what I want to bring to have a healthy environment. Now, the healthy environment people may not know all each other coming in, and you basically will have sometimes the right neighbors will have the right neighborhoods and right people in the same way of thinking and vibes. They will have welcome parties, move-in parties to get to know who their new neighbors are, to find give a little bit about them, not a lot, but a little bit. Then as time go, they may have 3 different types of other events for gatherings in the neighbor, their children, a time for them and them, the parents talking. Then they doing something to fit everybody in it, to feel welcome and knowing like they can be who they are and don't have to be in the wrong way of thinking, and knowing it's positive to be that way as neighbors. I think that should be done 4 times a year, to know who your neighbors are by having events, a party, welcome in the house, move-in event, to know who they are. Have sometimes summer fun party, springtime party, and a later, coming in the holiday in the fall, before the schools start, in that way of knowing when it's around Labor Day. in a thing like that, and they all got some they want to, parents want to come together to do some good things in that way with their own or with others, they can. Think of whatever else they want to do. They share things positive to help them know what things at, to be a fun for their family, or doing things out, and things. They know somewhat, the parents will know places like they do, but maybe others got places and things they don't know can be more greater than what they know. It's all kind of ways of knowing things, and being a neighbor. That some I've lived where they give you, where holidays come, they can exchange, having some that figure each one giving it, have out an event, talk about they want to give each other something. The children coming in a way with something they can work with the parents, with the grown-ups. It's always possible in the things people do, but it's up to them to think that way, to do that way, and carry out that way if they really good neighbors. Then when all these things is moving in place, and not always all the time, they also can watch one another, things happening from them living around them to them having associations, coming, going, or whatever it might be. They can be the help to each other. If they don't choose to do that in the healthy, there's other devices I know can be helpful to them. They don't have to ask people and work the work without people in it, and they'll, come to realizing what things ought to be, discussing safety and how to keep things bright and positive, what things ain't positive, what to do when their team of them, parents and others working the right mindset in the neighborhood, can figure out how to get things to stay the way they want when people don't live in a neighborhood, come through messy, versus them to live in it. How to get that out, avoid it, or keep it out, avoid, or get things in the right way. There's so many things that people can do if they're thinking in a positive way, but if they're thinking in a negative way, that is pretty much why a lot of things are the way they are. They're not doing things the way they want to be any kind of way. Don't believe in following rules, just in old kind of way. We talk about the parents, the grown-ups. Children learn what they see and hear. That's up to them. They feel they can do it, but they make it a future problem for them in other environments. May not put up with it, make trouble for them, and they'll consider that a behavior problem where the parents allow something to go on with what they do and don't tell it don't, and they need to stop too, whatever ain't causing their children to see the right way, but guiding them the wrong way. And they don't, like I said, some people don't ever think they wrong, no matter what the rules are. They figure they right. For what reason? What makes it right? Tell me what makes it right. They ain't got no grounds on. They doing it because they think that way. Don't have to be the right way. So it's all kind of, we can have a little neighborhood a gathering or club that in certain places to meet at, or a few can have their bands. Not saying that's those with children I'm speaking about, not people ain't got children, and can take them, those who they know and don't, can work together and have them somewhere doing things to grow and to learn things they know in their lives, to share out with others with things, to bring things out of them in a good way. You can do a whole lot of things. It's just people about self on what they do and regard nothing else. And that's a poor neighbor, but a good neighbors will be in this way and learn how to do things together, and they won't feel unusual with each other or strained. But if they allow the mind of their children to be like them, they can understand why the chaos and messes they can be in and cause trouble with others. God wants us to work together, come together, do things positive. It ain't nothing with the race or hate thing here. It's basically about the behavior with diversity. And once they learn how to put aside what they think and where they from and things they learn in history from ancestors, they can get so much further in a better relationship like God desired. So I hope this encouraged someone that when you see something, try to come with solutions and make peace. Work out on flyers and things that have a talk neighborhood, meetings on things that if for neighbors to know one another, to do things, understand. If they having issues, to go to those who know how to deal, resolve out. But if these neighbors amongst themselves, then it would take somebody a little different than them to get it right and to keep out what they doing ain't right. And hopefully it'll stop. But if it don't, measurement steps come in different levels to let them know you don't want it and you want them to stop making others be the way they feel because that's what they think is right, isn't right. And hopefully this will bring them in the right focus of what they should be. That's the personal life thing they're doing. And they realize the neighborhood is not their carriage to be on, but if they're doing that, some should be checked to find where it's coming from, why they doing it, and get some help for them. You want them, when you help people, you're trying to make them better. Come help is to make them better and not worse in reaching out and hearing what they say. If it don't seem to matter what you say, then you'll reach out to a professional in the area to certainly go to them and see what it is, if it brings them to it, to check that. But hopefully we see things to be more healthy and a healthy neighbor, positive vibes, right associations. They got a right to live their life, but what it is. But let's keep it positive in the environment and things with kids, teenagers, and everybody else will feel peace about it in their lives from what they working on or seeing, and something they can work in plans if somebody coming through with things doing in the neighbor to out who in the positive works together to have it in the right manner for those to see what they don't accept, to show the ones doing negatives the right way to see, to stop what they're doing, and before it come to an escalation of a matter, to get someone to get them in proof of showing they doing it, to prevent them. Help them in the normal way of thinking to do positive and not negative. To help them understand things you feel or think shouldn't be on others, but deal with that in a professional, can aid you with the problems, or get someone in your culture in a diversity can deal with who they know before it get to their worst. And sometimes people will feel they're getting by and they're not. It'll escalate. Even if they don't have a criminal record, the problems keep rolling. It'll come to one. It'll eventually come to one. Even if they ain't got one, the behaviors and action of theirs can escalate to one. So we hope that they will look at things at all grounds we go to, be out at anywhere, to keep the positive vibes, let go the negative vibes, which will cause them more greater problems than they ever asked for. And it's nothing fun to a person in that way of behavior. They can't be happy. No, they can't. Ain't no way you practicing negatives and you happy, it'll show on your face. What's in your heart, as God's word said, it will display your heart, what your face look like. If you messy, it's gonna show that. Covering it up with a hairdo, an outfit ain't gonna work. You still can see the reflection on their face. What they face show, that's what's inside of them. No matter how they look or act out, it's irrelevant. They got to learn to follow right. They don't desire it, and that's when trouble comes. You have to find a way to end it or bring it into so many ways of process in the right place, so soon it'll come to something. So I hope this encourages all to listen, to look at the positive way, to the negative. If you got troubled neighbors, they don't just any age of grown-ups, then it's a process to walk it and try to deal with it peaceful and get along. Now the positive way will come like events, to invite people, welcoming, moving in, Then next they have their events to bring them more to know a little who they are and little by bits. Because it takes time building a positive relationship and getting to know people, not by them lying and deceiving you. That's why you got to take your time. So hopefully this will help others know what things should be like. And it's troublesome, then you got a process to stop it. Look like ain't nothing happening because it went on for some time. Eventually it'll come to something eventually. It ain't never too late. Time ain't because it's long, ain't meaning that gonna happen. Eventually we'll tell on itself if the person don't quit behaving that way. Until next time, it will be other life issues or discussions on this forum, and we talk about to be helpful from the wrong way and issues to the right way of knowing what to do and bringing out things people do to try to prevent or give it to them, can't stop them. Again, I'm Donna Herring, a human service expertise, and my education is that to reach out and show people things that are discussed with people, things we know they do. You don't have to go that way. But when one hold on to messes too long and refuse to go to the right way, it'll eventually come out on them. And they won't be able to say it ain't that way. They'll put their own face out, their own behavior out, and they won't be able to tell people that ain't their way of doing. They'll say, well, why was this? How come I saw that? What was that? And it'll be evidence showing things they did. They won't be able to tell them that wasn't them. They wasn't the fault. A lot of people, like I said, they'll never accept they do wrong. No matter what right they know about rules to anything, some people just don't ever acknowledge wrong. They feel they right. For what reason? They're not God. They have to understand we humans, we all come short. But to a human, a woman, or a man acting like a child and racing with things like kids, that's how kids act. Teenagers act that way. A mature grown-up in either sex, whichever they might be, male or female, do not, should not behave that way. So we hope to be encouraging to give these types of talk discussions and different things we should know from learning and upbringing to many other places. And this is educating things happening in the community, in the neighborhoods, home, everywhere, anywhere. It's important to talk, find what things are, what things could be with a discontented person. They do things that way. They can't fix everything that go wrong. They have to work on it. So I hope that this will benefit someone learning about things, and that's why you pay attention to the news. If it ain't the TV, be on the laptop, Yahoo, glance a little bit what's local to all around. You learn things people do, and you want to know what's in your neighborhood going on with people. You ain't in their business, but if you know your zip code, you would definitely find a report from the law. Troubles, what's surrounding you out of it, and off your street in the same area, or a little bit on your street. Just stay positive. Don't join the negatives. These things we discuss can make it better by doing what's right and correcting the wrong. By process steps. Till next time, we will bring up other issues to talk about concerning the discussions in many other areas we go in besides your neighborhood matters. And that's what happens when people don't do more than what they should, causes them to wander and start getting in mess. Till next time, more issues will come relating to people's issues, bringing resolutions with discussions. Bye-bye.